Hi, everyone. I want to talk about long distance relationships. Should have talked about that before, but I think it's about time. I think it's a good time. There's so many opportunities to get into a long distance relationship when you're on these online dating sites because there's so many people that see your picture and don't pay attention to how many miles you have between you, and they're looking pretty good too. And then you start texting, and you may find yourself involved. And but there's really some questions you got to ask yourself, and you need to really think about it. And I know this from personal experience. So. Um, our long distance relationships a waste of time. I think one of the inherent dangers that really isn't talked about enough, nearly enough, in long distance relationships is that it's very easy to say things that are romantic. Like, I really like you, you're really special, I haven't met anyone like you in a long time, or even forever. You and I would be so great together. Well, without paying the tax for saying those things. See, when someone lives next door to you, there's like an actual investment, an investment tax. Someone can say, hey, you're really, really special. Oh my God, you and I would be so great together. But if they live next door, you go, okay, so why aren't we together? Then you would know someone would actually have to back whatever they say up. Long distance, you can get away with saying all these romantic things and at the same time going, but oh no, you live all the way over the other side of the world. I'm here. It's like a Romeo and Juliet scenario, right? Yeah. How are we going to make it work? Wow. How many times did I ask myself that question? You know, praying. That's when you say prayer and praying together at the same time. It comes out like that. So it's so difficult, but it isn't because you're so special. I really like you. You get to say all these romantic things with complete impunity because someone couldn't reasonably expect us to do all these difficult things to make it work in the moment. We can, for a very long time, be in a long distance relationship, or let's call it a situationship. And some people are in those and they know who they are, or to have tunnel vision with a person to the exclusion of all of our other options that are on our doorstep, not knowing that it's ultimately going to be fruitless. That when we push, and when push comes to shove, this person isn't going to make any sacrifices to make it work with us. That begs the question, how do we read someone's intentions in a long distance relationship? Really, how do we do that? So that we have some idea of whether we might be wasting our time or not. Here's a couple of simple questions you can ask first. And this is for all you people out there that are thinking about a long distance relationship or embarking on one currently, finishing up with one, thinking about another. Anyway, what would be the next practical, logical action that they would take in this situation? If they meant what they say, or to put it a different way, if I felt the way they say they feel, what would I be doing? What sacrifices would I be making? What actions would I be taking? How would I be going out of my way to make this work? And if the answer to that question is drastically different from what they're doing right now, then you know that at the very least, you're in a situation where what the two of you are prepared to do varies massively now in this situation. Someone is going to tell you all of these reasons why they can't take certain actions, why they can't fly to see you, or clear the space in their schedule so that you can come to see them, or meet them halfway. You may then look at these or those excuses and say they're legitimate. I can't argue with those. They're logical. They make sense. It is difficult, but here's the way you have to look at it. There's a principle called Occam's razor of two explanations that take account of all the facts. The simplest explanation is likely to be the correct one. So, for example, when someone gives you all of their reasoning about why they can't invest, why they can't take action on your relationship, why they can't sacrifice, you can look at all of that and try and decipher their excuses and understand these complex arguments as to why someone can't do what you're willing to do. Or you could look at the other explanation they're not willing to do. What am I willing to do in this situation to make it work? They are not committed enough to make this relationship work. Bottom line, okay? It's a simpler explanation and is therefore more likely to be the correct one. So, look, I'm not saying you shouldn't invest in a long-distance relationship or relationships, okay? Are all long-distance relationships a waste of time? Of course they're not. That'd be ridiculous to say that. You know why it's not a waste of time, because at the end of the day, if you picked up the phone and said you needed me, or I picked up the phone and said I needed you, either of us would be on the next damn plane. Yeah, that's true. Would we risk COVID? Not all long-distance relationships are a waste of time. But if you're going to invest in a long-distance relationship, or dare I say, any relationship that is logistically difficult, then beware that something that is inherently very difficult requires grand measures to make it work. Do you have that with someone who is willing to take those grand measures to make it work? Are you willing to take those grand measures to make it work? Are you really looking to do what it takes to make it work? Or is this relationship just filling a hole for you right now because you're not happy deep down? You know it's not right, but you keep investing in it anyway because it seems better than nothing. It's a distraction from your existential melancholy that is keeping you in a depressed state. God forbid you go there and explore that. No. Instead, you just know that if you keep this fire burning with someone, that you can pretend it's right for you as a distraction from your misery. And of course, it is equal. That's what it always comes down to. Isn't it? It's at the very least, make sure that this person is willing to make it work with you and for them, in the same way that you are, not just through their flowery language, but through the gravitas of their actions. And by the way, that doesn't mean that the sacrifices will always be equal. They won't. I think that that's a bit of an oversimplification. It could be that one person has this big life, bigger than yours. How about that? And be involved in it. Because the reverse just isn't possible, right? It might be that one person is making a bigger sacrifice, but is that sacrifice welcomed? Is that sacrifice something someone respects? Do they then make space for the person that moves in their life when that happens? Sometimes the actions aren't the same. They're just not. But you see that the intentions are the same through what both people give to the relationship, for the space that they make for the relationship in their lives. Make sure you've got one of those if you're going to do something as difficult as a long-distance relationship, because it's so very, very hard. I can speak firsthand. I think the only way to survive a long-distance relationship personally is with someone that has a commitment as you do you, absolute trust, and a love that comes around only once in a century. Thanks for listening.